I'm going to go over this many drop-down lists.html page again. So here's the main page, and then I have a folder called box. And if I open up box and show you what all's in box, what I have are 3 different CSS style sheets, and I have a selection of MP4 files. These are video files. They're C# lecture files. And then I have a DDL image file right here. It's a very small screenshot that I took, and I opened it in Paint, and I saved it as 50 by 50 size. And I'm using it when you open up this many drop-down lists page, you see that little icon in the browser tab. I also have this video1.html page because I've got all of these MP4 files directly linked into an iframe, except for the very first one. I wound up putting that first MP4 video file in its own web page, and I'll show you how that works, so that I can stylize the video itself. So we've got HTML opening and closing tag. There's the head opening tag, and there's the closing head tag. And the only thing I've got going on in the head at this point for this particular page is style. This stuff right here, the link to an external style sheet and a meta refresh, I don't have those being used right at this point. But the style has a background color of black, and I guess I should run it and have it side by side so you can see. Again, the whole purpose of having this video in its own page is just so that I can style this player right here. If I click the video, it's playing, and I could hit pause, and then it pauses. This MP4 video is inside this field set. This big blue background square is a field set, and this little tab up here that says intro is called the legend. And let me get back to the styles for this particular page. The body has a background color of black, which you could see way up here, and just a little bit all the way around the blue rounded field set. Here's the field set style itself. Height of 95%, border 10 pixels, blue solid, background color blue, border radius 20 pixels. If I take the field set and change it from blue to green, you'll see the difference between the field set and the legend right away. Let's see, I have something else that has a background color of blue. Oh, the field set itself has a background color of blue. I just changed the border. And if I change the background color as well, now you see both the border and the background color being green, and the border radius is 20 pixels, giving it the rounded edges. And here is the legend. Border 10 pixels, blue solid, border radius 20 pixels also. Background color of white, so that you can actually see the word intro. If I didn't give it a background color, you wouldn't see it at all. So if I X out the words background color and save it and refresh it, well, actually what you wind up seeing is it's transparent and you see right through it. So whatever colors are behind the legend, that's what's going to show up here. And that's not very easy to read, so it's a good idea to give yourself all your little elements. You may want to give their own background colors if you end up with this transparency issue that makes your legibility difficult, or your visibility. Okay, so back to the background color white, width of 100 pixels, text align center so that the word intro is in the center of the legend. And then the legend actually has a bit of a shadow going around it, and the way we did it is we used three different snippets here. We have WebKit box shadow, 2 pixels, 0 pixels, 11 pixels, 7 pixels, and an RGBA value of 000 and 0.75. And we have the same values for Moz box shadow and for box shadow. If I change, I want to think that this 2 pixels is the, if this were the left, and if 0 pixels were the top, and if 11 pixels were the right, and if 7 pixels were the bottom, what if I change this from 11 to 21? I want to see what happens to the shadow because I've never messed with these values before. I just had a copy and paste. I don't know if you were able to notice it, but it kind of spread the shadow out a little bit. It's not a very dark shadow, but it actually did make it go out just a touch. If I go back to what this was, let's say I go 51 pixels. If it lightens the shadow where you can't hardly see it, then kind of defeats the purpose. It seems like that's what it did too. It made the shadow come out more, but it's light. So I'm going to go back to the 11. See, that's a crisper shadow. And the same thing with these. I can try the change the 7 to a 17 and see if what that does different. Oh wow, that gave it a nice dark shadow. What if I change the 2 to 12? What will we get then? Oh, it moved it over. Moved it over to the right. Get rid of that. Keep it back at 2 pixels. Anyway, enough of playing with that box shadow stuff. So that's the style, and that's the end of the head of this page. Now let's get to the body, which is really, really easy. This is the tag itself for the field set element, and there's the legend tags. The word is intro. If I put a bunch of Z's in front of it and save it and refresh the page, you see it says a bunch of Z's in front of intro. So that's what you actually see. Take that off. Here's our video tag in the field set. The width is 100%, the height is 100%, and we gave it controls. If you wanted this to autoplay, here you would type autoplay. If you wanted it to loop, you would type in loop. But I don't want it to autoplay or loop, so I'm just going to leave just controls in that opening video tag. Then you've got the source right here. Source src equals select1.mp4. So whatever mp4 file you have, if you have a bunch of music or personal home videos, whatever you name it, this is where you put the name of that video that you created. And it's a type of video / mp4. And then just in case other people are running a very old browser that doesn't use the video tags, the HTML5 video tags, you put a note in here. Your browser does not support the video tag, and then you could write whatever other note you want, but it's only going to show up if the browser does not read the video tag. If it reads the video tag, it's not going to show this note to the user at all. So there's the end of the video tag, the end of the field set, the end of the body, the end of the HTML. So this was just another way to present a video. Let me go over the actual page itself. Oh, well, this is a page, video1.html. This is what that looks like, and I just went over all the code to create that. But let me run this page, which is the project page itself. Oh, that's not it. That's a different project. Oh, that was really embarrassing. Okay, let's go back to where I need to be. Many drop down list.html. That's what I want to be in. This Pilates is another project I'm working on. Okay, so many drop down lists. Let me run that one. Yeah, this is the project for that. I've got two drop down lists that are in a single div. A div holds both of these and a single form holds both of these, but this one starts with a label and a select, and this one starts with its own label and select. So, and then this right here is an iframe where each of these things open up in the iframe. These are all C# lectures. And same thing here. These are all web development lectures, but these are YouTube addresses because all of these are posted on YouTube, whereas these are MP4 files that I have in the folder. So the instructions to create this page right here on the right, you have your HTML opening and closing tag way down there. Here's the end of the body. All of this green stuff, I commented out because I'm going to use that for a different project. Here at the end is our iframe. This is how you create an iframe. iframe ID equals my iframe. I gave it a name of TVA and a class of TVA, which I'm not actually doing anything with that name and class right now, but if I do anything with code, I'll already have it named. The source is set to nothing because when you first load the page, I don't want anything to open up in this iframe. I want it to be blank just the way it shows right now. It's got a width of 98% and a height of 700 pixels, and there's the end of the iframe tag. And then again, all this green stuff is something I'm going to play with on another project, so I just got it out of there. Here's the end of the div that actually holds these two drop-down lists. Let me start at the top and work my way down. HTML, head tag, title, drop-down list navigation. You look up here, drop-down list navigation in the browser tab. I have that shortcut icon that you can't really tell what it is, but this is how you make a shortcut icon. Link rel equals shortcut icon, href equals box is the folder that ddl.png image file is in. So this is the path that points this page to this image, which is this up here. And it again, it's type equals image / X icon. And here's some more stuff that I'm not using in this page, but this is actually used in the page, and we're still in the head. This is a script that makes this drop down work. And in the script tags here, we have the keyword function, and we gave this function a name, set iframe source. And inside the curly braces of that function, we create three variables: var select, var the iframe, and var the URL. So this first entire statement says var the select equals document.getElementById, by ID, and in parentheses and single quotes we gave it an ID of location. Okay, the second thing that we did, the second statement, var the iframe equals document.getElementId, get element by ID, and in parentheses and single quotes my iframe. And then we create var the URL. And then down here we have two more statements. The first statement is the URL equals the select dot options, and then in the straight brackets, which indicates like an index, the select dot selected index dot value, and then semicolon. So there's one statement. I guess I should put a space between all these statements to make it easier to read. And then the very last statement we have is the iframe.source equals the URL. Okay, so that is the entire script with a single function right there called set iframe source. And again, this script lets you navigate pages with the drop-down list for C#. Now we're going to copy and paste that script, and we're only going to change a couple of things because we have to have a script that is unique for this drop-down list. This one gets its own script, this one gets its own script. So we don't need all this stuff. All we need is the script tag. I didn't have to identify this script with all that other stuff. It's a copy and paste except for two things. The keyword function, but this is changed. Instead of just saying set iframe source, we have to give this function its own unique name. We're not going to have two functions with the exact same name. This one was set iframe source for this guy, and this one is set iframe source 2 for this guy. And var select equals var the select equals document.getElementById, by ID, and here we change to location 2. Up here we used just location. Here we change it to location 2, and then everything else is exactly identical to the script above it. var the iframe equals document.getElementById, by ID, and in parentheses and single quotes my iframe. We didn't have to change it to my iframe 2. Reason being, we only have one iframe we're dealing with. Where the other two things, iframe source, location, the function name, and the location where we're setting the iframe from, this is a different place. This is a different place. This is one place. So you don't have to change anything about the iframe. The var the iframe equals document.getElementById, by ID, my iframe, and var the URL you don't have to change, and none of this needed to be changed either. These two statements are exactly the same as the one above it. The URL equals the select.options, and in straight brackets the select.selectedIndex.value, semicolon. And lastly, the iframe.source equals the URL. And that's the end of the script. So we've got a script for this guy, we've got a script for this guy. Let's get out, oh wait, what's this style tag? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I have a style tag as well in the head. We've got a style tag for form, which you'll see the form tag when we get to the body. We're still in the head. We gave that a display of inline block, and then we have a style for option, which each one of these like planks is an option, and it's all of those options have a background color of tan and a border of thick tan outset. Now in Firefox you see this outset, these look like planks, but when you open this up in other browsers, all browsers don't give you this visual effect. Like I think Google Chrome just makes these rectangles without that outset effect. I have a special style that I created, dot watched, which means class watched, background color lime, because when I want to make any of these tan options turn green and stay green, no matter how many times I refresh the browser and come down here, it stays green. It's not something that, like I have an on-click event that changes these to yellow, but as soon as I refresh the browser or close the browser and 2 or 3 days later open this page again, whatever was yellow the day that I clicked it or the moment that I clicked it is no longer yellow. But the green thing here will stay green unless I change something in the code inside here, which is it's a manual change, not an automatic change like a cookie thing. Okay, so there's the end of the style. I'm not sure if I need this or not. Meta name equals viewport, content equals width equals device width, and initial scale equals 1.0. There's the end of the head, and here is the beginning of the body. Now we're actually going to talk about the tags to these elements themselves. First we have a div that's going to hold these two drop downs, and we're giving that div a style of display block. Then we have, oh, but also let me show you the ending div tag. It is after these two drop downs. Here's the second drop down with all of those. It's right there. So the only thing this div has in it are the two drop downs that I'm using as navigation. And in the div we have a form, a single form. The form also holds these two drop downs. So we've got form ID equals form1 and method equals post. And again, when I pass up all of the this end select and end label ends this drop down, and a new label and a new select starts the second drop down. But right before the end of the div, I guess I'm wrong. I thought I should have the end of the form. Where's my form tag? I should have a purple end form. And I don't know why I don't. So I'm going to put it right here because that's where it should be. Okay. So that end form is going to match the beginning form. Right there. Alright, so we got a div, we got a form, and now the label. Now this is just for this right here. A label tag all the way at the end of the drop down list is the end label. And the end select is nested inside also. After the label, we have this opening select tag that says select ID equals location. Remember when I created the script and it used an ID of location? There we go. And we also created a function called set iframe source. Well, there you go for that too. So select ID equals location, talking about this one, and on change equals, so each time we change any of the options in the list, it's going to be calling the set iframe source function. Then we have this option tag that is set as a value of nothing initially, because it's what you see right here. When you click on it, this is going to come down, but it's not going to open anything in this iframe. So the value is nothing, and selected equals selected in double quotes. And the C# drop down list with all these dashes is what you visually see on the face of the drop down list. And there's the end of that option. Then we have something called an opt group with a label of pick a C# lecture. When we click on this, you can see with a white background it says pick a C# lecture. That's what created that. If I didn't have the opt group here, if I commented it out and saved this in Notepad++ and refreshed the page, then when I click down here, it goes straight from drop down list straight to C# intro and all the other clickable links, clickable options that open something up in here. Really, the point of the opt group basically is it's kind of like little subtitles. If you were going to use multiple subtitles to maybe divide all of these options up, then it would be more interesting than if you just had one thing going on right here. But the reason that I incorporated it is because now if I do a drop down in the future, I don't memorize all this stuff. I'll already have it here for me to refer to for something that I might want to use these little subtitles that you cannot click on them. They don't do anything. That's what an opt group does. It's like a little subtitle. Now here's our first actual clickable option where it says C# intro. See right here it says C# intro. When you look at the face of this that's in lime green, it says C# intro. So option value equals, again, box is the folder that video1.html is in, and that's this page that I showed you. I'll run it one more time. That's this page we already went over. Okay, so I don't really need to look at that anymore. That value right there is pointing to that page. It's going to point to that page and it's going to put that page right here in this iframe. We've got an on-click event. When we click on this option, it does all of this right here. On-click equals style.background color equals yellow, return true. And then we set class equal to watched, which is going to give it that permanent lime green background. And then there again is the C# intro words that you actually see. Now you see it's initially lime green because of this class equals watched. And if I click on it to watch that video, you see what I showed you, that page, and how I changed this this field set from blue to green. This is in its own page, and I click it and it runs just like it runs in the iframe just like it does if I were just opening the page in its own tab. So basically that it shows you that one way to open up a video would be to put it in its own web page and style it however you want, whether it's in a field set or whether it's in a div, whether you want to put any list items here, any notes, like maybe in a paragraph tag, or if you want to give it a header with like an H1 tag or something like that. There's different things that you can do so that it will automatically open up in any way, shape, or form that you want instead of just the video. But all the rest of these are just the video. To make life easy, if you don't want to mess around with web design, you can just do it like this. Option value equals, and then I have the MP4 again in a folder called box, so box/select2.mp4. The on-click thing is all the same. If I click on it, it's going to give me a background color of yellow. Again, that's only going to be as long as this particular browser window is open. When I close it, the yellow goes away. Here, I misspelled class equals watched because I only want it to have a lime green color when I've looked at it. Then I'll just come here in the source code and I'll take that Z off. And when I take that Z off and save my code, then when I refresh my page, now I've got two things with a lime green background. So that's basically a way for me to bookmark through my code where I've been, where I've left off, and where I need to start in case I forget. And it's just as easy to make the lime green go away by misspelling class equals watch, just sticking a Z in front of it, save it, run it again, and then you'll see that now again I only have the C# intro in that permanent lime green background. Lecture 2, OOP Part 1 is what you physically see right there. And there's the end of the option tag. Now all of these other options in this particular drop-down list, everything is just copy and paste. The only thing that gets changed, obviously, is the name, the path, the value equals, box, and then we've got a different lecture, select3.mp4. Here it's box/select4.mp4, and so on and so forth. And then of course you want to give the face of your option a name that's going to identify what it's opening. So for here, select3.mp4, that's my lecture 3 about OOP Part 2, which is object-oriented programming. And so we take that all the way to lecture 12. So let's go down to lecture 12. Here's lecture 12. And here's the option, same way all the others were, the end of the select and the end of the label. So I've completely showed you how to make this entire structure here. Let's go down to this one, which is going to be nothing more than a repeat, a copy and paste really. it's got its own label. The difference here, select ID, because this is a different element that we're talking about, its own drop-down list. It's got an ID of location 2, and it's got its own script, its own function here, set iframe source 2. Here we've got an option value of nothing, selected equals selected, and it's the words web dev drop down list with a bunch of dashes, and that's what you see. There's that opt group again. Opt group label equals pick a web dev lecture. There it is with a background of white. Here's our first option value that's actually clickable. Option value equals, and here we have a web address to a YouTube video. And you got the http:// yada yada yada. Everything else is the same. The on click, all the on click basically does is during this browser session, we'll get a yellow background on the option that we're looking at. And class equals watched promises us that we will have a lime green instead of a tan background so that we know we've already looked at that one. And this is the next one on our list. And web dev intro, that's what's on the face, as you can see right here, the lime green web dev intro. End of the option. Everything else here is copy and paste, except it's got a different YouTube address, and none of these have class equals watched properly spelled. There's a Z in front of all of them so that they have their tan coloring until I want to come here and back out of Z and then prove to myself that I kind of bookmarked it. Okay, I've looked at the first 2 videos. If I might not look at this for another week, then I'll know, okay, this is the next one that I haven't looked at all. And same thing, you take that all the way to the end of this. So there's the end of that last option, the end of the select, the end of the label, the end of the form, and the end of the div. So that is the complete code for these 2 drop downs that will function this iframe. And so I have to go and show you the iframe again. All this junk that I'm going to use for something different. Here's the iframe code. Iframe ID equals my iframe. Name equals TVA and class equals TVA. I haven't done anything with the name or the class. Source is nothing, which means when I first open this page, this iframe will be white. Width is 98%, height is 700 pixels, and the end of the iframe. Here's some more stuff that I'll do some other time. And then the end of the body, the end of the HTML. So that's basically it in a nutshell. I showed you how I put this video in its own page. I showed you different ways to colorize your options. This one, obviously, it's in its own page, so it's stylized. This second one is just a straight up video, MP3. And let's take a look at one of the YouTube videos so that you can see that that works too. It just opens up, you click it, and just like anytime you look at a YouTube video, you have these options here, these settings that you can change if you want. Let's see, the quality can go as high as 240. Closed caption, I don't know if he offers closed caption or not. I notice sometimes the closed caption spells some really strange stuff, so I don't know if you could always rely on that. And let's see what this does. Oh, here you can watch it on YouTube itself. Okay, doke. So let's say I wanted to say, okay, I watched this whole video and I don't want to watch it multiple times. That I would go to WD September 3rd in that second list. September 3rd, and I would just take that Z off, save it in my Notepad++ and refresh it, And voila, I proved to myself, or I noted to myself that I watched it. And that's all I've got on this one.